So good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back again to another segment on Canon for the TV. We're going to be talking about the Lens game. We might be reviewing the game that happened against Brentford, and also there is some sad news which will start the show. But we're going to see you on the other side of this music intro. Yes, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back again to Canon for the TV, the channel apparently for Arsenal fans, supporters all over this globe of ours. We've got James Rowe back in the house, and it seems like an age. James, how you been keeping?
Very well, thank you. European football is my bread and butter. Always delighted to be on the show to talk about European football. It's a very bittersweet game coming up. I was tracing back my Champions League history as a fan. My first ever Champions League game at home to Dynamo Kiev at Wembley in 1998, where we drew 1-1. Bergkamp and Shevchenko scoring for Dynamo Kiev. My first Champions League game at Highbury, Arsenal Schalke in 2001, I believe October in 2001. And my first Champions League game at the Emirates, which was Sporting Braga in September 2010. And I look back and I think I've been so fortunate, Alex. I've been so fortunate to see so much. I'm proud as punch. Talk about timing in life. And, I'm grateful. And as I say, I will still go to Arsenal games, but I will be very picky and very choosy because I want to give back to my fellow fan. I want them to experience what I've experienced. And it should be a great game on Wednesday against a very good side. And really looking forward to it.
So, James and I have been shooting the breeze before we actually went live. That's why we're a little bit late. But I want to start this Monday evening segment with the sad news and passing of Terry Frederick Venables, former England manager who has passed away at the age of 80. Now, Venables was in charge of England's men's national team between 1994 and 1996. A short tenureship, by the way. During that time, the side reached the semi-finals of Euro 96 European Championship. And I remember it was those days when it was summer. And his family have since confirmed that he passed away peacefully during his sleep. And he had a long illness. So Venables guided the men's national team to the semi-finals of Euros 96, as I just mentioned there. Knocked out by Germany, 6-5 on penalties at Wembley. During his managerial career, he also was in charge of clubs including Tottenham, Crystal Palace, and I've forgotten Queen's Park Rangers, as well as maybe, I don't know, his crowning glory, Barcelona. James, would he have said that? Would that be his crowning glory, Barcelona?
Well, it's a fantastic achievement. This is something I was thinking about today. Obviously, we talk about European football. And in the world we live in, we appear to take for granted going abroad, holidays, travel, working abroad, in my case, for 18 years of my life now. And I look into history and the timing of it. And, Venables went to Barcelona when British people didn't really go abroad, full stop, never mind working abroad. And he managed to secure their first Spanish title in 11 seasons, which is amazing, really. And to be a penalty kicks away from winning the European Cup. The eulogy of Johan Cruyff could have so easily been Terry Venables in terms of Barcelona. And I'm currently reading a book by David Tussell about Jimmy Greaves, and there's a great passage in it which I really want to bring up. Obviously, this is an Arsenal YouTube show, but there's no doubting Greaves was the best of all time. There's a great passage where they talk about his move to AC Milan. This is in a time where the maximum wage in England was £20 a week. He was offered £130 a week at AC Milan and £1,000 signing on fee. And nobody knew what was going to happen with the maximum wage in England. So he took that opportunity. He worked so hard in Milan, but you have to remember he's only there for 4 months. and he was the way they treated the players, where people wouldn't talk to him, and the only information he received was from a backroom staff employee of AC Milan, who was a prisoner of war in England during the Second World War. And that's
Incredible.
in terms of communication. And we think now we encourage people to learn foreign languages, and we encourage to broaden their horizons. But I think I knew of Jimmy Greaves' his goal scoring ability, but the courage to go forward at that time. I think reading that book so far, it's just made me admire Jimmy Greaves even more. And I'm not even talking about football. You imagine being 21 years old, newly married, and going abroad, and having such a club rule you like an iron fist. It's not like now where everything's done for you. There was one particular occasion where he went back to his hotel room because he would have a drink with teammates out on the porch, or family members out on the porch of the hotel, and they sealed up his windows so he couldn't get out. And again, as I say, I know this is a football show, but I always like to educate, always like to encourage. And I think in the case of Venables, great managers always go looking for the challenge. Great managers always go looking for it. I think we're now currently in a generation where it's a bottleneck at the moment, this generation of managers. It's a bottleneck, first and foremost, compounded by the fact there are far too many good managers out of work. That's the biggest problem. Secondly, the globalism and commercialism of the clubs mean that it's no longer tailor-made. It's quick fix. It's hire and fire. I mean, I still can't understand for the life of me, and not because I've interviewed him, how is it that Danny Cowley hasn't got a job? How is it that Chris Wilder hasn't got a job? How is it that Glenn Hoddle hasn't got a job? How is this possible? There's not enough talent in England around at the moment to ensure that these three gentlemen in particular don't have jobs. And I just think that we need to go back to basics a little bit. One of the best books I read this year, Brian Clough and Peter Taylor at Hartlepool. When you read that book, you understand how Brian Clough became the manager he became. And without Hartlepool, he wouldn't have gone on to achieve what he achieved. But this is a manager and an assistant that is sprucing up the stadium. Painting the stadium. Marking out the pitch.
It will never happen these days.
No, but the work ethic involved.
Yeah.
The want to work, the will to work, and the will to learn your trade, because that's what ensured longevity. That's what ensures longevity. And I worry for the future. We were speaking on air about I was saying about the highlights of Arsenal Brentford on the Arsenal YouTube channel last for 2 minutes. They do not show a single opportunity for Brentford outside of a goal line clearance, which is again projecting Arsenal in a positive light. What they're showing isn't football. It's as if they're trying to condition fans to, even, God forbid, we even receive a shot on goal. My goodness, can't have that. That's not real football. That's what I really believe, Alex. What they're doing is they're conditioning fans that don't really understand the innate situation of gameplay, of what goes on. I remember the nights, Champions League nights at Highbury, games at Highbury. I remember being in the clock ends, North Bank, East Stand, West Stand. I remember, fellow fans, if something was said out of turn, and I'm not talking justifiably about racism and xenophobia, because that's always got to be called out. I'm talking about understanding the game. If someone was to say something out of turn in no relation to the game, you get pulled up on it. And often you get explained to you what's going on. I mean, I remember giving Sylvain Wiltord a tough time when I was a young man, but I'm man enough to admit now I understand how hard the man was working. But as a young man, I used to think he was lazy, Steele Van Wiltord. But I'm man enough to admit, as a fan of 35 years, I got it wrong. And, to think we signed Wiltord from, I think, Rennes, who are flying so far under the radar, I'm surprised they don't crash a car. It's just madness. If there's a team, I know we live in a world where people publish books, Union Berlin, Atalanta, Hipster's Paradise. Nobody's talking about Rennes. They've got some brilliant footballers, got a great manager, and they're top of their Europa League group. And for me, it's no surprise whatsoever.
I want to, I never told you this, James. I actually wanted to ask you a question about Mikel Arteta. And before we went live, I did say to you, sometimes it's like you cannot say a word against the players. You cannot say a word against the manager. Now, the manager did make a big complaint about the referee and the VAR and all this hoo-ha, but has since been charged. Now, I know you did send me a video, David Dean, and he actually did say that if he was at the club at that time, there's no way the club would have come out in support or even make a statement backing the manager. But
Exactly.
your thoughts,
Exactly.
James, about this situation?
Well, I think the pressure's building and the job's too big for him. Hence why he's throwing his toys out of his pram. In any walk of life, nobody starts at the top. In any industry, nobody starts at the top. But the fact remains, Mikel Arteta has started his managerial career at the third biggest football club in the whole of England. Where do you think you're going to go from there? You think Paris Saint-Germain and Barcelona are going to come calling for you there? And I just think for Arsenal to back him that way, it just goes to show the club has changed. We used to pride ourselves on so much knowledge and the values and the togetherness, which is so slowly seeping away. We used to have so much togetherness, it was untrue. We used to have a collective knowledge of Arsenal fans. We used to look after everybody, regardless of race, creed, background, age. All Arsenal fans used to stick together. All Arsenal fans would stick together. And that's slowly seeping away, which I think is a massive, massive shame. But I think at the moment it's kind of like divide and rule, which is quite dangerous, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did say it was going to be a Champions League show. I do with James, and so we're going to be back in action in the Champions League against Lens on Wednesday, and this is how the table stands at this current time. So requiring just one more point to advance to the last 16 Champions League. Arsenal welcome Lens to the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday. Group B clash. Now the Gunners have accrued 9 points from a possible 12 to render themselves uncatchable at this stage of the proceedings. Although their one slip up so far came against Frank Hayes' troops, holding a 4-point advantage over Lens and PSV Eindhoven in first place. James, where do you see this one going? There's still a good.
I think this game will be a draw, Alex. My prediction is 2-2. They are a good side. I watched their highlights today against Clermont. They won 3-0 away from home, with having their best striker, Ili Wahi, sent off. But Jonathan Grandi, the number 24, fantastic footballer. Przemysław Frankowski, the Polish winger. Thomason, who we know from the game in Lens. Lens, if they put in a good performance against us, will harbour their own ambitions of reaching the Champions League last 16. And I think tomorrow is going to be a 2-2 draw. And I'm really looking forward to it. And it should be good fun. And I just think that for all the billions spent, we are only a couple of steps away from having a last 16 of Real Sociedad and Lens in it. Lens 3 seasons ago were a second division team. They were the last season's runners-up in France. And Real Sociedad have made tremendous progress in recent years. So it's good for football. But this is our last chance to win the Champions League before it gets changed to a Super League and everything but name. People will cite that the changes are for the better. When Arsenal first entered the Champions League, there was a group format. There were 2 groups, would you believe? And if you say that to people now, the Champions League first group phase and second group phase, they go, where you had to play 12 games just to reach the quarterfinals. And they say all in the name of progress. I've been so fortunate to see so much that Wednesday night will be bittersweet for me. I'm delighted to be there. Really, really looking forward to it. But also, that it's the last one. I mean, I may still go to Arsenal in Europe, but I will be very selective. If I've seen the team play live before against Arsenal, I want to give someone else a chance. But I just think as well that we've taken European football for granted, and that really upsets me as an Arsenal fan. It's not about attempting to win the tournament; it's just participation and restitution. Our attitude has been completely wrong. And even when this draw was made, the draw's been kind. What are you talking about? What, last season's runners-up in France? PSV have won every single domestic Eredivisie game so far this season. They won 13 out of 13. And Sevilla are last season's Europa League winners, having won it 7 times. And then the rhetoric from Arsenal fans was, the draw's been kind. Yeah! What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I just think that the conditioning of certain fans, it's as if, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. Fans like you, like me, like you, like Terry, we're a nuisance to them. We're a nuisance to them. And that really upsets me because I know what I've seen through the years. I've been at Highbury when we were beaten by Auxerre with the likes of Capo and Mexes, and they beat us fair and square 2-1. I've been at Highbury where we couldn't break down Valencia in the second group phase. We had, in the 2002-2003 season, Arsenal played 12 Champions League games. I went to 7 of them, all 6 of them at home, and 1 of them in Amsterdam, which changed my life forever. I was 18 years old, going on 19 that season, and it remains one of my proudest seasons. But I just think as well that, we've just taken it for granted. We really have. And that second group phase, Valencia, Roma, Ajax, didn't win a single home game. And then won in Rome, lost in Valencia, and drew in Amsterdam. And then the final was Milan-Juventus. We've had so many bites of the Champions League cherry. It is embarrassing. If we were Mr. Jones taking his driving test for the 25th time and we couldn't do it, the DVLA would say, I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, this is not your time. This is not for you. This is not for you. And I repeat once again, because no doubt they will put it in the programme about Arsenal's debut in the Champions League in 1998 away to Lens. Rubbish. And how disingenuous do you have to be to the 71 double winners who entered the European Cup, dispatched of Stromgeset, which was our first game, dispatched of Grasshopper Zurich, and then there's no shame in losing to the eventual winners Ajax, who were winning their second European Cup out of 3 in the 70s. How disingenuous do you have to be to that side? And I asked the club if the 71-72 team would have actually won the European Cup, would they have also been cast aside? Would they have also been? But it's because we're desperate to have a kind of relevance in the Champions League because we haven't got none. We like to say, our Champions League debut was 98. No, it wasn't. Our Champions League debut remains Stromgeset of Norway in 1971.
Well said, James. Well said. Well said. And actually, James, you know what? I remember, we're talking about the change of the format come next year. Cup Winners' Cup, you had to be the champion or the winner of your league in order to go to that competition. But now Champions League, 3rd, 4th, 5th, You still have
No,
it's
one
ridiculous.
slip up, you were out on your ear.
Absolutely.
One slip up, and that was it. And all these people saying, "Oh, the European Cup doesn't matter." The European Cup is filled with nearly men, from Hibernian to Roma, to Tottenham to just trying to think of another one off the top of my head. Dundee, filled with nearly men, where the narrative could have been so different. This is our last chance to right this wrong. Because as of next season, it's a Super League in everything but name. So even if you do win it, what have you achieved? Even if you do win it, what have you achieved? And we've had so much bites to the cherry. I've been there, Alex. I've been there. Very rarely have I missed European games. Off the top of my head, Wembley, Dynamo Kiev as a 15-year-old. Highbury days, off the top of my head. PSV, Auxerre, Dortmund, Roma, Valencia, Ajax, Schalke, Celta Vigo, the Emirates, Partizan Belgrade, Sporting Braga, Montpellier, Milan, Bayern Munich, and so on and so on and so on. Basel, Ludogorets, Olympiacos. Oh, but I've been there. I was there. I was physically there. Monaco. I was physically there. So I've seen all that, but I've never seen my team win it. And it feels quite embarrassing. It really does. Because I've seen it with my own eyes. And I refer back to the 3-1 defeat against Monaco in March of 2015. And it started outside the turnstile, where the guy standing behind me said the following: "Oh, we'll beat this lot 4-0 tonight." I turned around and said, "Excuse me, you are aware that they topped a group with Bayer Leverkusen, Zenit St. Petersburg and Benfica. So they're obviously a good side." Now, Subasic, Berbatov, Kondogbia, Carrasco, and when that third goal went in from Carrasco, if you look at the images behind the goal, you'll see two people. You'll see a guy wearing a red shirt, and that's me, and another guy. Everyone else just upped and left. And then the narrative is, "Oh, we got knocked out on away goals in France." But if people hadn't left as soon as that ball hit the back of the net. But this is what I mean about I've seen it. And we're not even talking about Europa League games I've seen. I'll have to make another list for that. But the fact remains, I haven't seen my team win a European trophy since I was 10. If we didn't have any participation, I could live with it. I could say, okay, well, it was a moment in time, wonderful. How lucky was I to experience it? But to have experienced so much, I've experienced 66 Arsenal games from Amsterdam since September 2011 alone. That's without my last season before I left to emigrate to the Netherlands. That's without my youth games with Arsenal in my youth, where I would work overtime to be able to afford my ticket, and I'd work overtime on a Saturday to forsake the domestic game to go to the European game.
And again, before we went live, we're just talking about the experience that I've had of watching Arsenal in Europe. It hasn't been quite extensive as James, not even comparable. But I'm thinking, I just don't believe that we're even better equipped this season, James, to win the Champions League. So it's going to be even more bittersweetness in the next few months. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
We're not equipped.
Yeah.
We're not equipped.
Because of a giant of European football, Real Madrid have won it 14 times. Liverpool won it 6 times. Milan have won it 7 times. This is all off the top of my head. They do not accept failure. They don't. They don't. They will look and see what's wrong, and they will address it. And that's what they do. That's why Liverpool have won it 6 times. That's why they're crowned European royalty, and they are. They are. United have won it 3 times. Aston Villa have won it. They went from the 3rd division to the top table, and he had to sell £3 million worth of players. Brian Little retired at 26. So amazing. It's like Arsenal. I suppose it's like Odegaard retiring now. People would have a meltdown.
Right down,
They'd have a meltdown.
Yeah.
But Villa, they decided to kind of really pull themselves together. And the great thing about that Villa side, when you watch the footage, they're all smiling like Cheshire Cats. You can't wipe the smile off their faces because they are all so happy to be playing together. And that triumvirate of Gary Shaw, Peter With, and Brian Little, 103 goals. People don't talk
Incredible.
about it enough.
Yeah.
People don't talk about it enough. There's a great quote today about the story as to how Venables got the job, where apparently Doug Ellis and Bobby Robson were saying Venables is the best manager. I thought about Ron Saunders. I thought in a parallel world, why couldn't Ron Saunders rock up in Barcelona? In a parallel world. I mean, I put the feelers out and the effort out, not to interview Ron when he was still alive, but I couldn't understand how British football never appeared to search out his opinion. And thankfully, there was a gentleman at the Birmingham Mail, I forget his name, but he said to me, James, Ron leads an extremely quiet life, and it's something that we have to respect. Absolutely. But just honestly, what they achieved is nothing short of incredible. And, a massive football club who have got a manager who, how different could it? Do you think? Well, we reached our first European final in 13 years under Unai Emery without any of his players and without any of his methods, and we beat him after a winless game of seven wins, winless in 7. Do you think Villa are going to drop him like a stone when they have a tough time?
No.
And that will be to their testament. And you watch, that will pull them through. If you notice the sensationalism, can Villa get top 4? I think Villa are concerned with winning a trophy. They can win the FA Cup. They can win the FA Cup. I've backed them to win the Conference League. But all this is, can they get top 4? Do you think they're concerned with top 4? If Unai Emery can win a trophy with Aston Villa, honestly, give him the keys to the city. They haven't won anything for 28 years. And people forget as well, Villarreal, a population of 50,000, he wins them a European trophy at our expense. But people have forgotten about that because nobody was there. I watched it. I also ordered the programme for my own collection because I wanted to read the write-up they wrote about Unai Emery. And it along the lines of a very short return for Unai, who was with us for 18 months. If he'd have stayed with us, we might have a 14th league title now. We might have played in a Champions League final. I'm not saying we would have won it, but the dynamics would have been different. And what do we have now? We have a manager who seems to pat himself on the back that he's achieved 200 games at Arsenal. Mikel Arteta. How many did Unai Emery have, Alex? Have a guess.
70 odd.
78.
There you go.
78.
There you go.
But again, we will reap what we sow. We go to Villa Park on the 9th of December, and I will miss that game due to commitments in the Netherlands. But I will try to record the highlights so I can watch a fair summary of it, and not just on the Arsenal YouTube. But it's the last chance on Wednesday to kind of go out on the group phase on a high, but we're in for a tough game, and my prediction is 2-2.
All right. Do you know, with that said, let's go into the live chat because there's been quite a few comments there. Our moderator for this show is Ashley. It says, hey up Gooners, and hey up to you, Ashley. The Assemble says, good afternoon, gentlemen and chat room. And Colin, as always, ever present, says, let's go, Alex. Hit that like button, slackers, change row. May agree with Tony Adams. I agree with that guy that has a statue. Yeah, I listen, Dave, I told you I put that comment in the group. We'll leave it there.
In terms of you're talking about Herbert Chapman's guy with a statue?
No, Tony Adams, because you sent me that about his thoughts about Unai Emery, and I put that
on. He's spot on, and you think of the greatest captains we've had, McClintock, Adams. Are we gonna do them a disservice by ignoring their opinions?
Well,
Are we?
we
We're
could
going to do him a disservice. Just brush him under the carpet. You got a generation saying, "Oh, who was McClintock? Who was Adams?" Two of the best captains we've ever had. They were, and their opinions need to be accepted and respected above all.
Absolutely. Emerson, good evening. Says, good evening, Alex and James. Always have time to listen to facts and knowledge of European football, and it will be a pleasure to meet you on Wednesday if another a friend can arrange it.
Who knows? We'll just see how
Yeah.
it goes. It's going to be an interesting time. I always make time for people. Always on the way to the ground, on the way back from the ground. So we shall see. We'll just wait and see how it goes. But I just want Arsenal fans to come together on Wednesday, and I want us to enjoy our last Champions League night properly. Enjoy it with a win, but show what we are. Go out there and just fight, because it's going to be a really, really tough game.
Yeah. M1's was also in the live chat. So the head gunners, thanks for Cannon Foy TV today, Alex. Thank you for that. Will Raya be back in goal versus Lens on Wednesday?
Great point. I'd like to, first and foremost, I respect all the questions we get. I will always take time to answer every single question. I think it's a great point. I will say this. I watched Ramsdale in the Europa League last season against FC Zurich at home with Tierney's amazing goal, and the game in Eindhoven where we lost 2-0. He didn't exactly cover himself in glory, but he hasn't had the opportunity to redeem himself in Europe. And I think that's wrong, because Ramsdale is a part of the reason why he's part of the reason why we are playing in the Champions League this season. And I hope Ramsdale plays on Wednesday. I really, really do, because I want him to have that opportunity to redeem himself. When I say redeem himself, he knows himself in Europe last season in the games that he played. It wasn't great. But that's gone. But with this next level, a level up from the Europa League, I want him to have the opportunity tomorrow. The opportunity on Wednesday, and fingers crossed he gets it. If he plays and he concedes a goal, we're playing a very good side. So if Ramsdale plays and we concede, don't get on his back. We're playing a good side. But I hope he gets the opportunity, because it's a career is very short. Ramsdale is one of the reasons why we're playing in this tournament. So let him have the game on Wednesday.
That's a good point, James. That's a really, really good point. By virtue, he got us back in the Champions League. So
as I say, like I was saying earlier on this video tonight. You know, I've been firing on all the cylinders because it's the last European one and the adrenaline's up a little bit. So I've been firing. Like I was saying earlier on, I've seen it with my own eyes. And I reiterate, Ramsdale, when I saw him in Europe last year, he didn't exactly cover himself in glory. That's all I will say. But I want him to have the opportunity to redeem himself. We know how good he is, and he should be our number one. He should be that. All this, you won't see it on the Arsenal YouTube, but the mistake he made, which almost led to the goal from the clearance from Rice and the fumble, this just shows a lack of confidence. You know, he's an international goalkeeper. He should be Arsenal's number one, and we rate Aaron Ramsdale. We do. And we want him to be our number one. But we've got a manager where the job is too big for him, and it's about playing out from the back. I will repeat once again, Alex, and I've seen almost 200 professional football teams in my time as an Arsenal fan and a football writer and a football supporter. I've seen, I think, 9 shy of 200. And I will say once again for the whole world to hear, every single professional football team has neither the obligation or the ambition to play every single time the same way. It's as if everyone's got to play like Pep. Where did Pep get his ideas from? Cruyff. Where did Cruyff get his ideas from? Buckingham. who was also English and managed Ajax. So one perpetuates the other. They didn't reinvent the wheel. They just used their ideas. Guardiola has a lot to thank Cruyff for. Because if Cruyff hadn't have said in the Barcelona youth setup, put the winger in the middle, Guardiola wouldn't have even had a career. So never mind becoming a manager. It's the small details. It really is. And I just think it's particularly in England now. Oh, we don't play up. Everyone plays out from the back. Honestly, if people had the gumption to go route one and to go 4-4-2, people wouldn't know how to react because it would just be alien to them. I mean, I sent you a video today of Mark Crosley at Forest, and he broke down what Brian Clough, and it's an amazing video, very, very short, but a great keeper Crosley was. And Clough would be in the dressing room. Keeper, what's your job? Keep the ball out of the net. Defender, what's your job? Get forward if I can and stop crosses. Centre half, what's your job? Kick and head the ball away. Midfielder, what's your job? Yeah, take no more than 3 passes and try to get in the box. Winger, what's your job? Get my heels on the line and beat my man and cross it. Centre forward, what's your job? Score goals. Simple, isn't it? Simple.
But James, you also spoke about stats. I can't stand the stats. XG
It's
this,
jargon.
XG that.
Jargon. Honestly, 70 million people live in England. I haven't lived in England for more than 18 years now, but I respect my country, right? And I will say, I could be wrong, but I will say that the general intelligence of the general British person has improved. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, you go through time, people would use long words to confuse people and to protect their relevance. And that is exactly what's happening now. You've got jargon being perpetuated to protect their relevance. I could not give 2 hoots about statistics because, as I've mentioned on multiple occasions in this video, I have seen it with my own eyes. So I don't need to be told because I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen Alfonso Pedraza when he was an unknown. He's now an international footballer. I saw that. Nobody told me, the Pedraza, the number 24 from Villarreal's going to be an international. Nobody knew who he was, Alex. But I looked at him and I thought, he is a very good player. Jonathan Grandi on Wednesday night, you watch him. Plays for Bayonne, plays for Cannes, and is now playing for Lens. Ricardo Esgaio at Sporting, Benjamin Bourgeot at Rennes. This is just someone who's watched a lot, and we live in a society at the moment where people have to be told what to think. There's no need for it. And I will reiterate once again for the whole world to hear, if there is a player in the men's game or the women's game that somebody rates, stick with them. Don't be told by someone, they're only worth 10 million quid and rubbish. Their XG was only 1.8. Who gives them monkeys? You think to yourself he's a good player or she is a good player, stick with them. Stick with them and watch them grow. Because I was delighted when a player that I identified 3 years ago as now a Spanish international. I saw that with my own eyes. Didn't have to wait for a YouTube influencer to tell me. Didn't have to look at the XG jargon and the rubbish. I'll give you 2 examples. Pre-assists and service level goal contributions. I'll say
what does that mean?
Surface level goal contributions. This is in print. And I think what they're trying to say is they're shooting when the ball's on the floor. Well, that's what Clough preached all along, wasn't it? Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable.
Oh, dear. Let's go further and deeper into the live chat. So we've got Omar Tubi, who says, yes, Raya will be back in goal. We don't know. Nothing wrong with him. He's on loan from Brentford. And that prevents him playing against them. Well, yeah, that's why he couldn't play.
No, a fair point.
Not an easy match to call, although watching the highlights like James did, as most Arsenal fans think it would be a walkover, then would be surprised with Lens setup.
Yeah, no, a very clever observation. But again, as I've been speaking on this channel for about European football for about 5 years, I like to think I'm respected, which is brilliant, which is great. But I also try to educate people. I will never talk somebody down. I will never say to them, "Oh, they're completely wrong." But just try to look at things in a different way, right? I go on Wednesday to a match in the Champions League. Recently, I've been watching Telstar of IJmuiden, which is 30 minutes away from Amsterdam, and two players have caught my eye. One of them is called Tim Segers. He plays for Maastricht. He's currently injured, I believe. Another one is Jonathan Mulder, who came for the youth set up at ADO Den Haag and AZ Alkmaar. I've seen these two players. They are good footballers. I don't need to be told by an influencer they're good footballers. I've seen with my own eyes what they can do. And again, so I like to encourage people to kind of think out the box a little bit. This isn't a race. You know, you can have 1.5 million subscribers. You don't know what's behind it, the finance and the money behind it. You know, I don't have a publisher. I haven't had one for 2 years. I've been turned down by BBC. I've been turned down by Reach Media. I can interview in foreign languages, but maybe I'm too difficult for some people. But the fact remains is I will never lie to someone. I will never go out of my way to lie to someone. Like, for example, people, Messi. Okay, you could score 1,000 goals. I couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. Not bothered. Don't care how many. I don't care what your XG was. Not bothered. But do you think Steve Bloomer and Dixie Dean and Jimmy Greaves all had XG? No. And what people need to understand, what people, and I'm serious with all the points I make, but tonight the bittersweetness of the last one, I deliberately want to kind of go out in style, right? So this is why I've put in my performance tonight, right? The lower down the pyramid you go, there is no money for Prozone. The lower down the period you go, they're not obsessed with statistics because they've got other things to contend with, like paying bills, like putting a squad together, like surviving. And it's as if now it's like a divide and rule, which isn't good. You know, and thankfully I've had the best of it. I've been extremely, extremely lucky. You know, Wednesday night is my 67th Arsenal game from Amsterdam alone since September 2011. Without hybrid days, without the time before I emigrated, without European games in different seasons. So I've seen a lot and I'm extremely grateful. But I just think to myself about the future, what's going to happen in the future. It's quite worrying.
Yeah. Let's run through these last few comments in the live chat. So, Omotumbi says, honestly, it's disappointing for Arsenal. Even Man City has won it. Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool have all won it. Arsenal should have won Champions League at least once, even during the days of the great team. Yeah. And like James said, you know, it would have been so bad if we weren't taking part. We didn't reach that period there. But to be participated all those years, 20 odd years, and not won it, the ratio is not good. It's not good.
No. But the attitude has been even worse. The attitude has been even worse. I remember, you know, Schalke at Highbury. I think we won 3-2. Struggled. That 2002-2003 season. You know, if memory serves, beat Dortmund 2-0. Bergkamp and Ljungberg. Drew 0-0 with PSV. Lost to Auxerre. Managed to get through to the second phase. Drew 1-1 with Roma. Vieira and Cassano scored for them. Drew 1-1 with Ajax. Nigel de Jong scored for Ajax. I think it might have been Will toured for us, if memory serves, and we drew 0-0 with Valencia. This is a Valencia side that had not long reached 2 European Champions League finals. Baraja, Cuero Torres, Angulo, Canizares were all on the pitch. But again, this is what I've seen with my own eyes. It's not fables. This is me and what I've seen. And it's just a missed opportunity. This is our last chance. And wouldn't it be typical Arsenal to win it right at the last knockings? It's the hope that kills you.
Yeah.
I sincerely hope that this season ends with Arsenal Bayern Munich 0-0, 89th minute penalty, the same end that Saka missed, and we give the ball to him and say, right, Bukayo, right, you did, and someone say to him before he takes that penalty, you didn't let no one down against Italy.
Yeah.
And you've got the chance now to write your name in history, because honestly, we need to be grateful that Bukayo Saka chose England. He could have chosen Nigeria. We need to be grateful. I'd hope the guy doesn't get burnt out, because he needs help. Brilliant footballer. Amazing cross for the goal for Havertz. But he does need help. Otherwise, he will be burnt out. So we've got to look after him. We really, really have. And it's going to be really, really important. But it's the hope. Hope springs eternal. And fingers crossed we can do it.
James, is written in the stars, James. I can see it now. No, I can't. Sorry.
No, but you've got to be positive. This is our last chance. This is our last chance. And, with a great quote as well about all those teams winning it, Chelsea winning it twice. So, it's the hope that kills you.
Omar Toomey says, during the Invincibles team, when Arsenal was a fearful team to play in Europe, they should have taken opportunities, even with they should have been counting 2 or 3 times for Arsenal now. 1996 to 2004, Arsenal were a fearful team. Sorry, James, you want to say something on that?
No, I think he makes some very good points. But you have to remember, we was in a group with Bayer Leverkusen, Deportivo La Coruña, and Juventus. And it was Bayer Leverkusen that knocked out United, knocked out Liverpool, and reached the final. But who beat them at home in the group phase? We did.
Yeah.
They had Basturk, they had Georgi Butt, they had Placenta, the Argentinian, who I thought was really good. I remember watching the game on TV. I have the program. I didn't go to the game, unfortunately. Never seen Leverkusen, but I remember being, Bergkamp's amazing goal, and my mother, my mother teasing me by saying, is that vocabulary about that goal you're talking about? Does that really exist? But yeah, it's the memories. She also came with me to the Champions League games against PSV and Dortmund, and I don't know many mothers who would let their son go independently to Amsterdam for Ajax against Arsenal when your son is 19 years old. And that game changed my life and the course of my life forever. And she let me go. And extremely, extremely grateful.
Yeah. All right, M1's James says that Emery hasn't won anything with Villa yet. A good home record, though.
Yeah, well, 13 in a row, isn't it? Excellent home record.
Yeah. Many Arsenal still respect Ramsdale. Yeah, of course we do.
I hope so.
Yeah. What else do we have here? I'm very excited hearing my name. I'm very excited hearing my name, and it means a lot to me, sir. Thank you, Canon for a TV, for reading my comments. Well, we try and do the best that we can.
Yeah, indeed we do.
Maybe one more from Emerson, who says, good show as always. And James, see you on Wednesday, pending your schedule. And thanks for taking your time.
Yeah.
And Alexandra says, Saka needs help, and it should be very, very soon.
Yeah, in January. Pedro Neto is currently injured. I think that would be a great candidate. My mate Borussia, he's not going to cost 50 million, is he? He's not going to cost. Nobody's heard of him. He's a brilliant footballer. Brilliant footballer. Escaio, Jonathan Grandi. But again. It's going to be really, really interesting, and I look forward to telling you all about it. And yeah, I look forward to speaking ahead of the PSV game as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully our European journey will continue.
Well, listen, James, as always, it's been a pleasure. Safe journey. You're traveling down tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, traveling tomorrow from Amsterdam for the 67th game since September 2011. And, for your club to change your life and then for you to have enough money in your pocket to go back from Amsterdam to Arsenal to watch Arsenal, averaging about 12 games a season, but 6 games a season over 12 years. My apologies. But it's a labour of love, but it's also there's a great quote in the Netherlands in Dutch which translates to you live your life in periods. So my period of going to Arsenal games from Amsterdam is coming to an end, and I embrace it. I look forward to it, and I want other fans to have the opportunity that I had. I hope there's another Gooner in the stadium who's as enchanted as what I was. I remember the Valencia game in the Champions League. Kuro Torres went down injured, feigning injury on the edge of the 18-yard box, and I went bananas. You're a cheat. You're a cheat. Get up, Kuro Torres. You're a cheat. I remember. I remember seeing Rosicky play for Dortmund. I remember seeing that Ajax side: Kivu, Galasek, Ibrahimovic. Labont, Trebelsi. It was an amazing Ajax side. Roma, with Totti getting sent off for elbowing Martin Keown. I remember Cassano scoring, and he looks about 12 years old. And just amazing memories, really. And I've been so lucky, but that's why I deliberately wanted to go out in style tonight. We'll always speak about European football, but because this is the last one, the last proper Champions League group game at home in Champions League format before it gets changed, I thought it was appropriate to pull out all the stops and to show people what European football with Arsenal in the Champions League is meant to me and what I've experienced. And it's kind of ingrained on your soul and ingrained in your memory, and just been extremely lucky.
Well, James, again, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and I can't keep up with you, James. I can't keep up with you. But James, So where can people find you? On LinkedIn.
Like today, publishing reposting my interview with David Howes, who played under Terry Venables at Tottenham, and that was viewed, I think, about 1,400 times today, which is nice. But the interview is also 3 years old, and I'm still enjoying being a fan. There's lots of people wanting to use the network, but it's my personal network. But we just keep going, and my French is okay. I'll maybe have a chat with a couple of Lens fans tomorrow. Lens fans on Wednesday. And I remember doing the same with Monaco. I remember when they beat us 3-1, and I come out of the stadium and I said to one Monaco supporter, "You got some team there, haven't you?" I said, Abdenor, for example, number 5. What a brilliant footballer he is. And so thankfully we have our memories, and I know people are trying to. It's as if people are being conditioned to all think the same thing, but let's not forget what's gone before.
Absolutely.
Because that's something which is very dangerous when you do that. Don't forget what's gone before.
Absolutely. And talk about what's gone before. Again, Terry Venables has passed away at the age of 80. Anyhow, so that's it. This has been Cannon Freud TV with James, going out with guns blazing, and we'll see you actually on the next one. This has been Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world.